What is going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 188 of Littleroot Lessons. I'm your host, Angelo, and with me this weekend, we got the whole group back. We have Jay and Carter. Boys, how you doing?
Doing great. I had a very nice weekend last weekend, so thank you all for covering. I got to play some golf. Great times.
I also had a really eventful weekend. I played the best round of golf I've shot yet. I shot 20 over, so we're gaming.
I
uh,
also shot my best round, 11 over. So
is it on 9?
it was 9, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we're not going out
No,
and
I'm
playing
not.
18. I'm good. I don't have that
I
kind of
do
endurance.
I do play 18, but I also stink, but I'm very aware of it, and that's the good thing. We have fun with it. We're having fun.
Exactly. I go to go and play for fun, and then yesterday was my buddy's bachelor party where we went to the casino. I walked in, never having been to a casino to actually gamble before in my life. Went in expecting to lose the $100 I brought, and instead I spent 40 of that and came home with 900. So,
Yeah,
um,
you were definitely pulling the bucks in. You had a good day, better than my first time gambling at a casino, where I lost all 100 in the slots in like 30
oh,
minutes,
see, that's
and
your
then
problem. You played slots.
well, yeah, Amanda
See,
was with me. That's what she wanted to do. Then there was my dad because the casinos in Delaware they let you smoke and everything. So he was chain smoking cigarettes in one hand, had his vodka cran in the other. He was living life. I wasn't able
Yeah,
to.
it was a fun time.
Yeah.
'Cause I know I kept updating you all. I know I Snapchatted Jay like 8 or 9 times. I'm just like, all right, cool. I'm up $200. I'm up $300.
$300.
I'm up $700.
yeah, he was quite literally flexing on me all weekend long for
I was.
no reason.
Yeah.
I was excited. Dang it.
It's okay. I was excited for you. I This past weekend wasn't as great for me. I know I wasn't feeling too amazing, but I went to a concert Saturday night, had a good time, and
What show did you go to?
went and I saw Hotel Ugly this weekend. It was
Okay.
fun.
Can't say I've ever heard of him.
Yeah, they're a small little indie group.
Gotcha.
I like them. They got nice little vibes.
Yeah. So
The
this weekend for
vibes are
me,
like the most important part for like, especially those small indie groups.
yeah,
It's always about the vibes, man.
I mean,
Always.
yeah. Let's be
of
honest.
course.
So what are we doing this week?
We're
Obviously, we're
that
vibing.
we've had like our 5 minutes of sports talk here at the top of the show.
So we're
Uh,
talking about the Peoria Regional Championships just completed today. The first Regulation E tournament, and as we discussed last week, we didn't get the rules set for the official rules set for this event until a week before. Luckily, it was exactly what we expected it to be, and so a lot of the people who have been practicing and grinding these smaller grassroots events, or in some cases very large grassroots events, their practice was well founded, but still, it's this. This is the first one. This is the kickoff event for an entire month of Regulation E regionals. Where we're going to have one every single week.
Is that true?
Yeah. So this week
Okay.
was Peoria. We went through this right before. You weren't listening to me.
Look, man, the Cowboys are
Carl,
playing.
Carl, I know how you feel. Anyways, so we had Peoria
George
this
Kittle wide
weekend.
open in the end zone.
Next weekend is Sacramento. Then we have Lille in Paris. The weekend of October 21st and 22nd. And finally, to round out the weekend, Halloween weekend, we get the Toronto Regional. And after this month, though, we do go on a break. The next events after this month are the regional in Poland and our first Oceania regional in Brisbane, and those aren't until Thanksgiving weekend, well, United States Thanksgiving weekend. I actually do think tomorrow is Canadian Thanksgiving, so to our Canadian listeners, happy Thanksgiving.
Neat.
Yeah.
So,
So this James Beck guy is pretty good at Pokemon.
I am so happy that he ended up winning this whole tournament at 13-1 record. I love the Golden Go on his team. I'm very happy to see it all. I just drafted Golden Go as my first pick in UDL, so I'm happy to see it do well in this format.
Uh,
But yeah, I funny story. I met James Beck at Secaucus Regionals. I have a picture with him, and yeah, I'm very happy to see him take the tournament. This top eight is completely stacked, though.
it's so good, and
that's
even
what
if
I'm looking at now. I'm just like, good
we
golly,
scroll, yeah,
these people are just like insane.
and if we scroll down, the top 16 is just as good. So I know for the people who are viewing, we are using the Top Cut Explorer. Um, Discord doesn't want to be nice to Lab Mouse, so until we get that, Tim gets the website rolling. This is probably how we'll be going through our events. What is super nice though, I don't know if you tested this out or not, Carter, but if you click the name, it's a hyperlink to the open team sheet. So if you want,
Oh, thank goodness! I'm over here like trying to like multi-screen this and like try to figure out how I can pull up teams without.
yeah,
All
no,
right,
so we can
cool.
So yeah, this is James's team here. It's very similar. I completely forgot the name of the Japanese player who made the team, but it's very similar to a like a Regulation D Japanese team that had the Hisuian Arcanine, the Manual Rain, Tornadus, and Urshifu Rapid Strike. The differences are that team had a bulky uh, booster Flutter, where we have the lefties Goldango, Iron Hands as the fake out Pivotmon instead of Rillaboom, and of course one of everyone's favorite new Pokemon, the Wellspring Overpon. It's a team that can go play both balance and offense. The rain is just really really great weather wise. Four of the top 12 Pokemon in for day two were fire types. So having Rain Dancer just limit damage of four of the top 12 Pokemon in the meta are really huge, and it's also boosting up your Waterfu and your Overbond.
Something I noticed about this team that I thought was really cool is that Golden Go and Tornadus are both Terra Dragon. I think that Terra type is like in past formats has been seen as a pretty big detriment because Fluttermane is all over the place. But in this format, with all the ogre ponds being extremely popular, a lot of fire types, a lot of water types, a lot of grass types, Fluttermane a little bit on the down, that Dragon Terra type is actually a really nice defensive type, which I think is awesome to see on Golden Go here specifically. Is really really interesting considering its matchup into Fluttermane is not that great to begin with. So kind of going to another weakness with your Terra type is a unique kind of thought. But I know I can see the vision with like all the other big threats in the format.
Well, I think the idea is that you're able, especially under Tailwind, your Arcanine, your Banded Arcanine, your Ogerpon in the Rain, your Urshifu in the Rain, though, and of course Iron Hands with Heavy Slam. That's a lot of Fluttermane hate to begin with, um, and you do get to play this fun mind game where they could go for the Shadow Ball, and if you Terra, you go from a super effective hit to a neutral hit, or they can try to call the Terra and Moonblast in your Goldengo, but you can just not Terra, and all of a sudden they're going with a not very effective hit. So the Terra Dragon does add a layer of mind games into it, but in general, like you'd like to have the Fluttermane issue handled before you're trying to play those Terra Dragon Goldango mind games. Think about something, Carter, or you're watching the game.
I was thinking.
Okay.
I was really just thinking that I really need to go through and watch coverage to see how well this Dragon Goldango plays, because it
So
like on paper, it just seems so awkward.
I think it's mainly to deal with that Ogerpon Fire and that Chi-Yu.
Okay,
Yes.
like if
You
that's the
Terra
case,
away from
then
those.
yeah.
Like
Mhm.
Dragon feels like a really good Terra type in this format
Yeah.
because there's a lot of grass types. You're resistant to all of Ogerpon, Heart Flame, and the Wellspring stabs. You're and also the Teal Mask version. The only one that
Hmm.
can hit you for neutral damage is the Rock type one. Chi-Yu is a very big threat to Golden Go on both sides, so tearing into a neutral dragon for the Dark Pulse or the resistant to the Overheat is really good. I think the main like awkwardness with the Dragon Terra when we think about it is always Flutter Mane because it has been so oppressive, but it's definitely on a slight downslope. It's
Yeah.
not as oppressive. You don't have to say, "Oh, loses to Fluttermane. I can't use this because it's actually very good into a lot of the other things that threaten this Pokemon." So I think for a Pokemon like Golden Go, I think it works really well. I don't think it works as well in other places like specifically the Tornadus. It feels a little awkward, but
Yeah.
I think that's also once again to deal with the ogre ponds, the Chiyus. Like it's all to deal with those big fire and water type hits and grass type hits.
And you know when like Series 1 was around, I was a pretty big fan of like Dragon Terra just because you have so many resistances. And
Mhm.
because I mean fairies really weren't good in Series 1.
You had
Um
Sylveon, and that's it, really.
Sylveon.
and like the big problem was that like Baxcalibur was really good. And
Yeah.
like ice coverage was good and like Dragon Stab was good as well because he had Garchomp as well. And
A
so
lot of
it
people
was really
were.
hard to justify like gaining these resistances while also gaining a pretty big weakness in the format. And so then, of course, Series 2 came around and we got Fluttermane added. And after that, I'm just like, well, I guess the idea of Dragon Terra is just like dead on arrival. Like, it seemed really cool on paper, and in reality, it just never really went with how it never really played out as well as I anticipated or as I wanted it to. So for James to have two of them here on his team is just kind of a big shock to me.
Yeah, I think, like, again, it's a lot of things in formats that mons that aren't good in earlier formats and then good back to like Umbreon theory for us. This you can even go with Terra types. Certain Terra, like, this was a bad Terra type for many formats. Now it's a good Terra type, and there's a lot of reasons for it. You could even just bring up the, like we did talk with Fluttermane. It wasn't the number one Pokemon. Day one, your number one Pokemon was Iron Hands. Day two, your number one Pokemon was Landorus Therian. Of course, Fluttermane was the number two Pokemon, but
Was it
Fluttermane,
number 2 in day one as
um,
well?
yes, and it was
Okay,
on like,
I don't have the day 2 or the day 1 stats pulled up in front of me. I have the day 2 though.
yeah, I think, yeah, it was. So for overall day two, if you're talking about just the top 128, Flutterman actually is number three overall for like the top 128 teams. But general usage, it was second place. I think it was again around 50%. And 50% usage is still high, but it's not like the 70% that we were seeing in regulations C and regulation D. Like, it's not as oppressive of a Pokemon. It's still amazing. It also does play a different role. A lot of Flutters are the Speed Booster variants, and those Speed Booster Flutters don't have the amount of offensive pressure to the point where, on this team specifically, especially once it gets a Nasty Plot off, this Goldingo under Tailwind is significantly more threatening as a Ghost type attacker than Fluttermane would be under the Tailwind.
So, to transition a little bit here, I am looking at the, I am looking at the top cut. Yeah, the day 2 usage stats. Let me see if I can pull it up. See how well this works. Oh, that's hideous. There we go.
Uh,
There we go. So I'm looking at the day 2 usage stats here. Am I missing Dondozo on here? I see 2 Tatsus, but I see no Dozos.
I do think there was a scenario where someone messed up their doze, and correct me. I mean, Jay, if you've heard otherwise, or comments if I'm wrong, tell me in the comments.
There's definitely Dozos in the top 32. I see one here. Alexander Page.
Yeah, I think there was.
Colton has another one.
I think there was a situation. I think like that one that was just something someone put together. I do believe though that there was a situation on one of these Dozo teams that they messed up the Dozo on the team sheet, so they had to play like the entire day without their Dozo, and they still like I think and like they still day 2'd or like went 6-3 or something. But again,
There's
like
2 Dozos day 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is.
Yeah, I see them on here now, but I see they're just not on the graphic, right?
Yeah, they just were missing the graphic.
Okay.
The things I'd like to point out, going back to our tier list episode, the fact that there are 3 Blood Moon Ursaluna and only 1 Hisuian Ursaluna. I know that the 3 of us we said like that Blood Moon is a Pokemon that has the tools to be very good, but we weren't sure if it was going to get there or not. And I would like to point out, like, why wouldn't you just play regular Ursaluna? And apparently, like, maybe people have already started figuring it out. I know there were 2 in the top 8. We saw it perform really well on stream multiple times. Leonard Kraft with his weakness policy, Blood Moon, throwing it back to a Sword and Shield era. We had
Leonard is just like such a trick room player, though. So like, I'm not surprised to see him bring Blood Moon Ursaluna at all.
And he's got like Clops too.
I was getting ready to say pairing it next to Dusclops and Iron Hands is just like. This feels like such like the most Leonard Kraft team I've ever seen in my life.
and it's so good. Like I know we'll get a little more into teams, but like that was like one thing I wanted to say. Also, guys, you see that that little purple bug in the top right hand corner? That little purple little friend. You see that little friend?
I stand by what I said when I watched it on stream. My exact words were, it's going to click one button and it's going to die. And that's literally exactly what happened in the Justin Tang versus Marcus Dion battle, is that it clicked Fake Tears and it knocked out the Heatran. But that really didn't matter in the long run of the game, because what really ended up clinching the game for Marcus was the Dark Pulse flinch on the Ogerpon. But like, it clicked one button and it died, and that was it. It came in game 1. It didn't even click a button. It did nothing.
I'm just
it clicked Fake Tears into the Iron Hands, and then Justin Tang literally took the Iron Hands and was like, "Okay, I'm gonna switch this out." And then you did absolutely nothing to me. You didn't set Tailwind, which was the number one argument for it. It clicked Fake Tears and it died. It stinks. Okay, it stinks. It was player diff. When I came on, we talked about Wo Chien making the top cut, and everyone was like, "It's player diff. It's the same thing here. It was player diff. It was Carson Confer being player diffed."
All I'm gonna say
is that
Illumise got 130 points today.
Yeah,
and Ambipom, nothing. 0.
Did anyone bring Ambipom?
I don't even think so.
I'm looking.
It's not in the top 128.
It says you. I'm looking. I haven't got that far yet.
It's not bad enough to be used as a joke, Carter. That's exactly why it's 98.
As a joke.
That's fair.
Top 16. Former world champion Carson Confer using it. I mean, put some respect on my boy. Shout out Carson.
I am putting the full respect to Carson. I am not putting the respect to Illumis.
I was gonna say, who do I need to give the respect to? Carson
respect is
for
to
being
Carson.
a madman to bring it, or
for doing so well with such a trash mon.
Well, so every mon has a purpose, and I think that this is like one of these examples where if you weren't someone who played VGC or like you didn't know the mon, you would be shocked. Like, why would you use Illumise over a Pokemon like Tornadus? Because like if you take the 6 that they used, actually, Carter, do you want to throw up the Carson and Marcus's?
yeah, give me half a second here so we can actually talk about.
We can go back to usage after. I just want to make a point.
Right here.
So when you look at the team, you could have easily thrown a Tornadus there, and it would have made sense. It would have been the Tailwind to support your Chi-Yu, to make your Flutter Mane and all them faster, to have your Scarf Lando be even faster than their Scarf Lando. But the ability for it to not only have the speed output, but to have the fake tiers to go and help your Chi-Yu and to help your Flutter Mane pick up more KOs, especially since we're using a Sash Chi-Yu and not a Specs Chi-Yu. That's huge. I know that you said that the fake tiers didn't matter, but Games 1 and Games 3, the Heat Ran was a massive issue for Marcus in his stream match against Justin Tang, especially when he lost the Landorus early, and to be able to go fake tiers into Shadow Ball, expect Shadow Ball to get that one-hit KO, that definitely helps like Marcus get himself in position to take the game. And Encore is also a really, really good move to help these hyper offense teams to lock someone into their protect, where you know that they're going to locked in every other turn. You might be able to get a free hit to lock Pokemon like Iron Hands and Rillaboom into fake outs. Those are really, really good moves. Even to lock your opposing Tornadus into Tailwind after they match Tailwinds. It's not a perfect Pokemon, and I didn't say it was a perfect Pokemon. I said it was usable. I was going to put it in C tier. You put it in D. I'm giving it's at least C tier. And the whole point is it fills a specific role on this team that no other Pokemon can do. No other Pokemon is able to give the Encore support, the fake tier support, and the Tailwind support all in one with Prankster. And it worked really, really well with the other 5 Mons. And kudos to Carson and Marcus for figuring this out and going a little off the wall. Maybe not using the most optimal Pokemon, but using the one that works for them for exactly what they needed.
I'm going to say something here about specifically Illumise, okay? Illumise is so terrible in open team sheets because your opponent can just see what it does and you don't have that surprise factor. Like, in a closed team sheet event, you can just go, I've never seen this thing before in my life. I don't know what this does. And the fact that instead you just go, oh, this is Prankster Tailwind. Oh, okay. Oh, they're mental herbs, so I can just hit that thing with a fake out and then it dies. Okay.
And I mean that's why you have the Terra Ghost there to play around the fake out. I was initially thinking Covert Cloak, but the mental herb, as when Carl and I were talking about this, the mental herb is to make sure that you don't get taunted by Tornadus. Taunted by Tornadus.
It makes sense. Like the reasoning behind the thing makes, like, the items and the moves and the it's a good set. I am not going to disagree with that.
You just are mad that I'm right.
I'm not mad, and I'm not saying you're right. What I am saying is Illumise died in open team sheet metas. Now, what I'm also not saying is I want to play more close team sheet. I think open team sheet is a godsend, and it's probably so the best thing that we've ever had for competitive Pokemon. It is genuinely wonderful. And sometimes you just want to cheese people out on ladder, and that's where Illumise is really good.
Still, I
I
think
feel like
I
I'd
think it was
rather
just
have Sunny Day Tornadoes though.
I would rather have Ambi Palm.
Like it's just, I don't know.
I could see the I could see
I
the
think this thing
argument.
stinks. It's the encore stuff is great, and it's very annoying. I'll tell you, it's annoying on the doubles random battle ladder. That thing
Mhm.
can be a pain in the butt. And I mean, like, the fake tiers was great. It knocked out the Heatran, and it was a big deal in games 1 and 3. But like, I just, it doesn't have bulk. It has bad typing. It has no offensive output. It's it's purely like it's just I just don't see it. I don't get
It's
it.
worse Whimsicott.
I don't see the vision.
Like if Whimsicott was available, Whimsicott would be on this team and not Illumise. And the second Whimsicott does become available, you will never see this Pokemon ever again. And that was like
Counterpoint:
the
Whimsicott can actually do damage.
Whimsicott does.
well,
a
yes,
lot
that's
of
what I'm saying.
damage.
Unironically,
Whimsicott-
Moonblast slaps.
Whimsicott is an insanely good
like,
Pokemon.
Yeah.
That's why I said
just-
it's
I don't-
discount. It's discount Whimsicott.
It's like Dollar Tree, like Whimsicott. Like it's not
still
just
a-
budget. It's not just discount. It's like clearance rack at the
It's-
Dollar General Whimsicott.
It is New
Like-
York City. It is like street vendor like Whimsicott.
Like the like dollar movie bins at Walmart.
Oh my-
It's the bottom of the barrel of those. Like
it still worked. Let's talk about some other teams. I think I made my point. The listeners agree with me.
all right, well, I've done all the talking I wanted to this week. I'm gonna go back to watching the game now.
Oh my god. Well,
I know. So looking here at the rest of the top 8, Luca's team is sick. It's just like good stuff, right? It is just like pick the 6 best Pokemon and slap them together. But there's like this King Gambit too. This Terra Dark King Gambit, I am just an absolute fan of. I'm so glad to see it continue to just perform every time. Every time I see King Gambit anymore, I hope it's this set, and then it is, and I get so excited when it is.
Well,
Luca's
when you
been
have-
running this set for a really long time. I know he's very comfortable with the set. I love the Black Glasses Terra Dark set. It is
This is the same set he
outrageous.
ran back in. Was it Charlotte?
I think he's been running this like most tournaments, honestly. Like this Terra Dark set. I've never seen the AV on his teams, that's for sure. This Terra Dark is like his bread and butter, and it's so cool. It's awesome. It just
It's
does
so sick.
so much damage. Do not let this thing get a sword stance up. Do not let it get to +1. Your resistances do not take it. They don't. You're dead to Sucker Punch. You're dead to Kowtow Cleave. It's over.
It's so
And like the
bulky.
fact that like you're able to Terra away to get rid of your steel typing, so you're no longer weak to Hearth Flame, is also just a huge deal.
Yeah, and you can also keep the steel typing in order to resist, go neutral to Flutter Mane hits as well. Like it's a very unique, like flexible typing in this meta. Like there's a lot of ways to work around it. You're afraid of the Urshifu, you're afraid of the Iron Hands with the Terra Dark still, but you're bulky enough to take that Drain Punch with the 2 times. The close combat, I'm sure, is pretty close. It's pretty rough
Yeah,
to take
I'm
on,
assuming
but-
that close combat hurts a
Yeah, but
lot.
King Gambit is very physically bulky, so it most likely can survive with
Yeah,
just
for
like
sure.
the HP investment and an Intimidate too, of course.
Yeah. I think the other really cool thing about this team is that it's a Specs Fluttermane with Trick Room. This was
I
another
was going to comment on it. I'm
Yeah.
glad you did.
This is another late Regulation C tech that we were seeing on these Specs Flutters on the hyper offensive teams. Like this one, instead of carrying a 4th coverage move that odds are you're only going to click every once in a while, throwing on some weird tech choice onto the Flutter where you can just click this one non-damaging move and then just get it the hell out. being able to Trick Room to just reverse like just your opponent's using a faster hyper offensive team. Well, you click the Trick Room button, and now your fast Pokemon are slower than theirs. Other options I've seen with this tech were like Charm choice specs, Misty Terrain choice specs, and I believe there was I think it was like Charm and Misty Terrain were like other like non-damaging moves on a specs flutter, and it's just like one of those things where your two stabs are so awesome, and like you're going to want to click one of those three moves so much that the fourth move just doesn't matter. So do something weird with it, like get crazy, get fun.
Yeah, the common things there are like Icy Wind or Power Gem or Mystical
T-Bolt.
Fire.
Thunderbolt.
T-Bolt's another really good one. I think the Rumble I played against two specs Flutter, and both of them were Power Gem. I'm just like, that's really unfortunate when I'm trying to Terrafire my ape.
Well, that's with fire being a common Terra type, and then
it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, well, 4 of the top 12 Pokemon in Day 2 were fire types, and actually going through it, I think it was like 5. Let me see. No, like I think like 4 or 5 of the top 12 are weak to rock. Torn, Chien-Pao, Heartflame, Chi-Yu. There's 4. Does Rock resist Rock?
Rock is neutral to Rock.
Neutral.
Okay, so 5. Because Rock hits Sassoon Arcanine, super effective. So yeah, like off the top of my head, like
Ground
there's 5
resist
right
Rock.
there.
Rock does not resist Rock.
Yep. One of those weird things. Just a quick side tangent. I always find it because like there's so many ground rock Pokemon that it's like, especially as a kid, I was like, these are the same type. They do the same thing, which is absolutely far from the truth. But just like with what felt like every single rock type from generations 1 through 3, or every ground like pretty much every rock or ground type also being like a dual type of those two.
So I was doing before we started recording, I was recording the Pokedoku episode for today, and we had Kanto ground type as a square, and I'm pretty sure all ground types in Gen 1 were also rock types, except for Diglett. Let's go with Diglett.
Cubone and Marowak.
Yeah, and like also Nidoking, Nidoqueen.
Yep.
There's a large chunk that actually weren't. So like, everything I said is just a complete lie.
Yeah, it's like we just like named like 6 of them. But like the thing is, it's like on the other end you have like Rhyhorn, Rhydon, Onix, the Golem line, like we have like the Brock Pokemon, and those are the ones that when you think of like rock types or ground types from Gen 1, you think of Brock's Pokemon.
Yep.
What else? Let's move on to a few other
Let's see.
teams in the top
Going
8.
back here to some more teams. There's a bundle here in 3rd. Some Water Ogerpon. Let's talk about Justin Knox's team here.
Yes.
Okie dokie.
This team is This is definitely, you want to talk about a player diff team, this is definitely a team where...
This is a player diff team, 100%.
If Justin handed this team to anyone who isn't named Cybertron, because Aaron's just able to pick up and figure out any team he's handed within like 5 or 10 games, I don't think, like you would, it's... Let's break it down. You have your support mons in Clef and Fergarath. Mind you, this is a nasty plot Fergarath, so I say it's support because you have the Armor Tail and the Trick Room, but you can just if this thing like gets set up, like those D-Gleams and Psychics are going to hurt.
Yep.
You have
This team was honestly really strong on its stream performances too.
Mm. Yeah, your fast
I'm
mode.
over here searching on Twitter to see if Justin has posted a rental for it yet.
Yeah. So we have the Waterfoo and the Heart Flame for like your fast mode. So again, another sword stance, another setup move with sword stance Ogrepon. We have bulky Okidogi, and that exists as a check against intimidate, and it's just in generally a very bulky Pokemon. I think you have like the Assault Vest set. You have a lot of different techs. Your stab with Poison Jab and Brick Break. Brick Break being able to tech against screens teams and like specifically the Alola Ninetale Snows teams. Snarl is amazing into the all of the special attackers. Like we did have a lot of Chiyu Flutter Mane offense teams, so being able to click Snarl into that with the Assault Vest backing is really big, and Ice Punch to just delete the genies. Like this Okidogi is a super cool Pokemon, and it definitely plays an interesting role in the team. Clef really helps with your setup Pokemon, being both the Sword Stance Ogrepon and the Fergarath with its nasty plot. Also, it being Heal Pulse, I think, is super cool to just let your setup Mons or your Okidogi just live longer. And then at the bottom, we have a Life Orb, Blood Moon Ursaluna. And watching this Mon and just all of the Blood Moon Ursalunas on screen, like I am sold on this Pokemon. Like the next team I build is probably going to be around Blood Moon Ursaluna. It is Carter, you want to scroll down a little so we can see the moves?
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah. Simple protect 3 attacks, Hyper Voice, Earth Power, Blood Moon. It's all you need. It's simple. It hits hard. You throw this thing in Trick Room, and it's not 5 Nights at Freddy's. It's 5 turns in Trick Room, baby.
That
So
blood moon move hits like
I pulled
a
up
nuke.
Justin's Twitter, and he says out at top 8 at Peoria, was psyched to make top cut again. Tried best I could, but matchup and Jeremy were too much. Let's see. I'll be doing a stream this week to go over my run and the team. I do think the core of this team is super strong. Just need some matchup help, and Urshifu probably replaced. Fergarath, Clef, Blood Moon, Ogrepon carried 85% of the matches. Very underexplored combo. So,
I can see that.
just general thoughts about the team from the player of the team. It's kind of a shame to say that Okidogi was like not great, but I also understand that the matchups it's good in is probably the best possible thing you could have, and the rest of the time it's just like a bulky wall, right?
Yeah, I think its main issue with this set with the Okidogi is that it really lacks like that move that does a ton of damage. Poison Jab is 80 base power, Brick Break is 75 base power, and I feel like the secondary effect of Brick Break is not as good as like a Drain Punch would be on this Pokemon.
I
Snarl,
genuinely think like close combat or Drain Punch would be sick on this.
Snarl is one of those moves where like you throw it on those physical assault vest Pokemon that carry it. And like I know in personal experience, whether it be in draft leagues or laddering or tournaments or whatever, I find that button to almost never be clicked. Like, could that be better used as a knockoff or a gunk shot or close combat or something to hit with a lot of power to make that Okidogi like a little bit more meaningful with its damage? Especially if it doesn't get that guard dog boost. So that could definitely lean into, I think, a little bit of the issues with like the Okidogi set in this team, why it maybe wasn't as impactful. And I think the meta for Urshifu is just in a rough place. But the core of this team is really really cool. Um, like the Clefairy with the Blood Moon is awesome because you can follow me and do tons of damage. The also the extra bulk from the Friend Guard, and then the Fergarath to stop the fake outs is obviously great when there's not a ton of protects running around this team either.
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah, I actually really like this team. The fact that like Clef is also like is able to help Fergarath set Trick Room or become overpowered with a single nasty plot is a really big deal, I think. And like obviously, Blood Moon is absurd. Like I mean, what else is there to actually say? Is like if it gets set up, it's absurd and ready to rock and roll. But in the meantime, it's like it is a normal type in a format with Fluttermane running around. So like being able to have that incidental like immunity to a powerful stab move is good. At the same time, you are a ground type in a format dominated by
Grass
multiple Ogre
types.
Pond forms.
Yeah.
So, like, column A says cool, column B says this is probably not great. So, I really do think it's going to take a lot of adaptation for these Trick Room variants to make Ursaluna viable and actually very like playable on them, just with the dominance of like Ogre Pawn. And like if Urshifu ever makes like a solid comeback as well, it just again is just super sad. You're weak to both like stabs off of Water Urshifu, and that might be where like Clefairy and Farigiraf are just enough to really incentivize it to not do its thing, right? So
I am throwing this out
interesting
there.
idea for its concept. Would really like to see this get worked on by more of the top players and come back and see what it looks like here in a month, if that.
I love how we're like digging Urshifu's grave, and it just was on both finalist teams, and where it's like, oh, this is the fifth seed, it's there. Like, but it's weirdly enough to say where it's like Water Food did really well in this tournament, and at the same time, it also just feels like it's in a super weird place where unless it's
Right?
it's piloted super well, it's just not it's just not it. I think really when you talk about like the four Pokemon like Justin said that he brought mostly the Heartflame, Ogerpon, Fergaraf, Ursaluna, and Clefairy. You can easily Terra Hog your Ursaluna there. And to be quite honest with that four, it kind of gives off the vibe of like the way we would play the Dynamax formats, where you would have like your main focus, your Dynamax Pokemon, now being your Terra Hog and Blood Moon or Saluna, and your other three Pokemon are there to maximize as like make sure that Ursaluna maximizes as much damage and as much output as it can get. So I think that in itself, maybe that's why I'm a little like drawn to the idea of it, because I still have Gen 8 brain with team building and with playstyle, and the idea of that like protect the king sort of like play style is very intriguing to me.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. Blood Moon is a normal type Gigaton Hammer, like right? It's a
Yes.
special
Yeah.
normal Gigaton. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
it's so. Blood Moon Ursaluna is not something I have played with, and that might need to change. I think that this thing is really underexplored. I think Justin's idea of this being underexplored is very accurate and something I think I would really enjoy working on.
You want to switch over to Leonard's team? We can go and look at how this manga is used.
Of course, of course.
Not to skip over
I think
some
the
of his
big thing
other.
to talk about in like the differences here, obviously there's like your difference of Trick Room Setter, from Farigiraf to Dusclops, which obviously is a very big difference. But Leonard's team also has just like a better secondary mode. If you, I don't even know if you can say it's a secondary mode. Like I think both of these modes play well together. Having your intimidate pivoting next from Landorus, you can lead like Landorus plus Dusclops, go for a U-turn, swap out into either your Ursaluna or your Iron Hands, set Trick Room. So like now you're powered out for that. Your Dusclops is going to be able to live a hit because they're -1 attack. And then from there, it's just like, all right, cool. And, being able to pivot in and out appropriately from like you have Iron Hands here with Volt Switch as well. So like you have that pivoting going on. I think both of these modes fit really well together. The fact that Ogerpon gives access to Follow Me is just it's so dumb. It didn't
I love
need
it.
it.
No, it did. I love it. This Mon's perfect. She's a good girl. She's going to bonk you later. Yeah, so what you were saying with like the slow pivot into Ursaluna on Leonard's one of his stream matches today led the Dusclops and Iron Hands, went for the slow Volt switch. Dusclops actually got doubled into, I think it was like a Grassy Glide, and it ate like a Grassy Glide and something else, and lived with like 40 or 50 HP left. And the Blood Moon Ursaluna comes in, and as you could see, like just people exploring Ursaluna, weakness policy Ursaluna, which again leaning more into that Sword and Shield style of play, where just like we're back in early 2020, we don't know what COVID is, and you're clicking Brick Break into your Dynamax Rhyperior. Well, Leonard's clicking the Terra Normal button, Brick Breaking into his Ursaluna, and then he's deleting everything. I don't think there's a Pokemon that can live a +2. What's Blood Moon?
Maybe Hands, but like if that's the case, you have Earth Power, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even like max special defense AV.
All right, pulling up Picolytics.
Yeah,
Pull
hold
up,
on, let's count
yeah.
this.
And throwing the Terra Normal as well. Like this thing
Yep.
puts out a lot of damage, and I think team comp wise, it's very similar. I believe it was Marco Fierro who cut Worlds. I think he was top 4 Worlds with like the Crest Ursaluna with like balance bonds behind it. I think this is the same exact idea. The Ursaluna is different.
So-
the Trick Room Setter is different. Oh, go.
Into modest, so modest +2 Terra Normal, Ursaluna Blood Moon. Into a 156 base power, 156 HP, 252 special defense, Assault Vest Iron Hands does 96.3 to 114.0% into it.
So what's that?
So
like
just
a,
about Oko's every single time.
yeah.
It's like 80%.
Yeah, 80%,
or
and
so.
and people aren't running 100, like 156 on Iron Hands is a lot right
Normally
now.
it's about 44 is what I've
Yeah.
kind of realized you can kind of fit into that HP slot. Like that's extremely bulky Iron Hands. So you're
Yeah,
pretty much
this is-
always picking up the Iron Hands KO with the Blood Moon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And
if
it's-
you're let's see, I'm doing some math here. So if you are 44 HP, 212 AV, it's a guaranteed Oko. Good golly.
just disgusting.
Granted, that is if you Terra. Otherwise, it's max 94. But like, if you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it all,
Oh,
right?
no,
like,
this is-
you gotta
Yeah,
you gotta do
for it.
all of it.
Send it, baby, send it.
Yeah, you are really.
I'm curious
committing.
how much like Hyper Voice does.
It
Well, and
probably
I
two
think that's-
shots, I'd imagine.
Yeah,
It's guaranteed 2-shot. Min roll is 52.
Sanity.
yeah, this is a really strong Mon, and just watching the videos, I forgot how good and how annoying Dusclops can be, especially in your Trick Room to just get rid of. On a team that only has 2 protects, it's the Dusclops just brings everything to a halt. And like you can make those like bulky like pivots in and out without like missing the protects there. Like hypothetically, could you potentially see like a Sash Chiyu instead of the Specs one? Sure, but I think one of the other aspects of having that Specs Chiyu in the back is to like once the Trick Room's over, let's just say you can't get a second Trick Room back up, having a Pokemon like Chiyu in the back to just like click Heat Wave or specifically like Specs Overheat, which is another attack that will just knock out anything that doesn't resist it, and even some of the stuff that does resist it, having that as like a cleanup mon. Like at that point, you don't want to be clicking protect. You want the game to end, and like Pokemon like that specs Chiyu, they are game enders.
So I found something that can live.
Oh god, what is it?
A Sawfest King Gambit.
It's Assault Vest Kyogre.
Oh my gosh.
That's not even the right year. We don't need to worry about that until. Okay, actually,
Max
we don't-
HP, 4 special defense. It is a 12% roll to Oko at +2.
What is it with max special defense, like no HP? Do we get more out of that with the Sawfest multiplier?
So if we're 252 special defense, 4 HP, 85 to 101, it's
we
the
have,
same
like-
roll.
Is it
It's the same
roll?
roll. Yep.
Eight-
It's a 12% chance to KO.
Nice.
Yep, exact same roll.
yeah, I don't. Have to
Interesting.
I mean, we did have an event where James won with Tornogre. No, not that one, because apparently it still works. But yeah, no, I'm not.
What else? What else we got over here to look at?
Let's look at some other teams. Let's go like a little more into the top 16. I know we did talk about one top 16 team. Actually, I think I found the next one.
Screamtail.
Yeah, that is it. No, you look at this. You saw the Screamtail, and you didn't see the Pokemon next to it.
Staraptor sucks.
It made
Noah
top-
Pilo's got a cool team.
Who? One more time, Jay. I'm sorry.
Noah Pilo has a cool
Yeah,
team.
scroll down a little more.
That's almost good enough gaming. Who I know you played in Knoxville.
Scroll down. There we go. The last
There we
team.
go.
He has Annihilate. He has Hisui and Gudra, Grimmsnarl.
We have Screens Ape. Absolutely.
Scream.
He
Celia.
stole my Knoxville team and made it better.
Yeah, so we have Screens Ape. I'm just
Loaded dice, Rock Blast, Arcanine, Hisui.
I love this.
You
This
love
is
to see
so
it.
cool.
You love to see it. Want me to tell you what this team screams to me? This team screams to me. I'm going to play the entire round, every single game. I like every single time.
We're going to time, baby.
We're going
We're
to
joining
time.
the wall on. We're joining the war on Big Stall, on the side of Big Stall. Let's go. Come on!
Between
Up the stall, baby!
between you two and like talking with Penny every now and again, who somehow always finds a way to be like, I'm just going to play with Annihilate and Hisui and Gudra because those are just comfort mons for him. I know.
Dude,
Stall's
Annihilate
comfort for
is
you.
so freaking good.
Annihilate is a good mon. I think it's another Pokemon that it doesn't need the mouse. It's in a good spot because of all the Intimidate in this format. I think Annihilate is in a great spot. Again, a bit of a Terra Hog, but on a team like this, you might be able to get away with that a little. But yeah,
It
you
also
have
just gives you so much value. You're like okay terraing it if it's allowing it to live another turn, so you can
Yeah.
Rage Fist something and one shot it.
Yeah, but between the Hisui and Gudra, the screens, Crests just being bulky as all hell, having Lunar Blessing. Actually, this is a Calm Mind Crest as well. So if you ignore the Crest and you let it get a few Calm Mind boosts in, that Moonblast, especially if it does Terra Fairy, is going to do a lot more than you can think. The Intimidate from the Arcanine, like this is it's a bulky team. It's going to grind you out. There's probably a lot of sets that Noah was able to win just because, like, by game 3, his opponent's so exhausted and so tired just trying to figure out how do I break these massive walls of Pokemon. Like, the Ape's
Dude,
bulky.
I can't imagine playing 9 rounds with this on day 1.
He played, yeah, and then played another...
Played 15.
He played 15
14
rounds. Yeah, 14. Absolute madman.
I
No,
love
this
this
It's-
team. I think it's
Yeah.
awesome.
I need to message Noah and see if I
It's
can
a
get this.
life do on the Gudra too, which I think
Yeah.
Oh my
is
god, this.
so elite. It's the best. I know I was talking about it with Sinistra, where I was running Life Do Sinistra next to Cresselia, and you could Life Do and Lunar Blessing back and forth and just stay alive forever. But now you're doing it with something that's gonna body press you and heavy slam you after getting +2 like that, or +4 or +6. Like that is so threatening. I love that. And the Terra
Did
flying
we?
is nice to deal with the Landorus a little bit, but I still like Terra Fairy too.
Did
Yeah,
anyone mention we are Horn Leech on Ogre Pond too?
Yeah, no,
A
Hornleech on
lot of the
water. Yeah, a
the
lot
water ones,
are Hornleech.
because you have like that special defense boost. You're
Yeah,
trying
you
to
might as well
have
be and
your
just be.
longevity.
Yeah, I think the best
Especially
way.
when you have screens here and all this healing.
Yeah,
It's like
I love it here. It's so good. Just sit there and annoy the hell out of your opponent. That is your goal. If this goes to game 3, we're drawn, baby.
Yeah, I think like in general with the ogre pawns, the fire ogre pawns definitely a lot more like of the hyper offensive mold, and the wellspring is more supporty. It's especially because you have an immunity in with water absorb. It is a really great like follow me. And the horn leech, it just gives you more health to use to follow me. And of course, like I mean, on this team especially to follow me. But if we go through some other teams, I know Paul Chua was actually running focus energy on his water pond, so he could go and crit every single Ivy Cudgel. Because again, it's the funny bump move. Like there were some sword stance water ponds as well instead of the follow me. But yeah, like with this follow me, I think Hornleech just makes more sense, and specifically for this team, with all the other sorts of recovery, intimidate, and the screens. Even like the annihilate, like it's going to be tough to take down, and if you hit it too many times, you're just making it stronger. It's like the city of Philadelphia. Its hate just makes it more powerful.
I
Ogre
want
is.
to find. Let's see, we're coming up on
we all just
about an
ignored you,
hour.
Angelo. I'm sorry.
I have to sneak one in every single
we had
episode.
we had to just ignore you there. It just had to happen.
I have to
I
sneak one.
ignore you every time you talk, so
That's great.
I want to find one last team to talk about. I want to find the highest rated Rock Ogre Pond team.
Also, while we're just on the screen, while we talk about the team, shout out to Nishant for their first day 2 appearance. That top 32 is great. Picked up the team this week and made a great day 2. Love to see it. Love you, buddy. You're doing great.
All right, there's one here in top 32 in the hand of Aaron Perez. Has anyone seen a higher ranked one? There's 2 in
I
day
haven't
2.
I've been
No,
struggling
there were
to
3
see
in
it
day
at
2.
all.
Were there 3?
Yeah, but I do think that Perez's was the top one.
Just quick glance over it one more time.
I see,
All these Ogre
one
Pond
in
forms
top
look the same.
64. Kevin Swastik has one. And
Yeah, it's Aaron Perez.
Yep, I think Aaron's is the Aaron Perez top 32 here. We have Cornerstone Ogre Pond, Ivy Cudgel, Horn Leech, Swords and Spiky Shield. That seems just like you're gonna sit there and just get a single sword stance up, Horn Leech back all your HP, and then just have your base 100 Ivy Cudgel just smash people with rock stabs. Seems
yep.
pretty okay.
Yeah.
You got the
This is-
Coma O, which can set up, get that Omni boost with the Clangorous Soul. I think Como is really, really awesome in this format. It can when it terras it pretty much beats Fluttermane every single time because it can't be hit by Shadow Ball with bulletproof. and then you get the Omni Boost and just nuke stuff. So it's a really awesome mod right now.
So we have Sinistra here as well for redirection with Rage Powder. We have Hands here for fake out pressure. So like we have a couple different ways of being able to get like a Sword Stance up or your Clangorous Soul. You also have Grimmsnarl here just to be able to set screens.
Yeah.
Thunderwave Grimmsnarl I think is real sick in the current format. I think it is so freaking good.
Screens and setup in general is really good, and you've seen like on a few of these teams having the double setup option with either a redirector, screens, or in this case both, is really great. I think the other thing that's really cool with the Sinistra, with the hospitality ability, is that
that's
can come
another
in.
way to keep your team healthy. Didn't even talk about that.
No, it is a little weird seeing the protect on Sinistra. I feel like Sinistra has definite 4 move slot syndrome. You want the Rage Powder, you want the Matcha Gacha. Protect's always going to be good on any mon, but you have Strength Sap, you have Trick Room as an option, which I wouldn't hate on this team. There is no sort of speed control, even if it isn't like a Trick Room team, so to speak. Just having a button to hit when you are a little outpaced would be nice. Could even throw like Calm Mind on Sinistra as well. Like it has a lot of really cool techs and sets that it can run, which I find very interesting. I think Chiyu's just here to again. It's just Chiyu can just clean games up super easily, even with the specs. Yeah, I think this is there's so many teams from this event that I've seen. It's like I want to try this. This is one of them. I think rock type coverage is going to be on the rise, especially with Sturdy. That built-in focus sash right there is going to be super cool. We might see more of these Koma'os, more screens from Grim instead of screens from Ninetales. Like just all in together, it just seems like a really, really cool team.
Big agree. Well, is there anything else we want to talk on before we call it a day? Like I said, we're coming up on just over an hour now, so.
I mean, I think that in general, I think that's it. We've covered most of the teams. We got to talk about our Lord and Savior Illumise. I think in general, this was there were a lot of super cool teams that performed well in day 2 in this event. And I'm looking forward to seeing how everything from this weekend affects the events next weekend. With it being such a short turnaround, what changes are we going to see in the meta?
Is Sacramento the regional that was just super poorly ran last season?
No, that was
there was
Fresno.
one in California that was just terribly ran.
Yeah, that
Fresno,
was Fresno.
That's right. Okay. Cool. I was really concerned there for half a second that we were going back essentially immediately after last season too. So
yeah, we're just not going to talk about the fact that this event in general was literal middle of nowhere. I saw a few people. It was because there just literally weren't any Ubers to get to and from the hotels.
Oh yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it was $30 for a 2-mile Uber drive, just because for the driver to head over to Peoria was just that in itself wasn't worth it. So yeah,
tracks.
Great event. Again, congratulations to James Beck and all of our finals and day 2 players. It was a really fun weekend, and I'm excited to do the same exact thing with you boys next weekend.
I will not be here next weekend. It is going to be the first show without Carl or myself. So
it's either going to make or break us.
It's going to be the best show of all time.
People are going to be raving for me to not ever come back.
Either that, or they will be begging for. I mean, at this point, the listeners have, especially me. I've been on too many episodes this year, I think.
Nah.
That's a lie. I love Summer
Never
You
enough.
say you say
Another
too
one.
many. I say you're stuck
Another
here
one.
forever. So
Another one.
well, Jay,
It's
It's
my
your
time.
you know how
turn.
this goes.
All right. Thank you all so much for watching and or listening. If you're listening over on Spotify, make sure you leave us a rate. If you're listening on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the community Discord. We all hang out over there all the time. It's a great place. We're always talking Mons and having a great time. Follow the Twitter at LR Lessons, and we all have our personal Twitters. I never give you guys a chance to plug your shit, so get to it.
You want to go first?
That's literally your job. That's what the plugging at the end is for.
No, but plug like your personal stuff, man. Like I don't.
I'm Mr. Missouri 25 everywhere. You can find me Twitter, Twitch. I think I have a personal YouTube. I don't really use it, but my account's there if you want to go follow me for some reason. You can go follow. You can go watch my old Pokemon speed runs.
And you can follow me at RoVGC on Twitter, Rose Tinted Cheeks on Blue Sky, and we also have a Blue Sky now for the podcast. So you can follow if you have a Blue Sky account. If you've left the absolute shithole hellscape that is Twitter, you can follow us there at Littleroot Lessons.
Yeah, I can't follow it.
I asked, do you want a code? I can give you a code.
I said yes!
No,
You've never
didn't.
given me one.
I will send it to you.
Okay, I'm
right
taking
when
it
we
back.
finish.
Taking the mic back. It's back in my hand. You see, it's in my hand. I am JMcG10 over on Twitter. The website at www.lrlessons.com. Shout out to our Discord and our Patreon supporters. That would be Johnny Bravo Sr. and Papa Swish over on the Patreon, and Smeargle over on the Discord. Make sure you check that out too. We got some subscriber perks and such. And that has been the episode. This has been a wonderful episode. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you next time. I am Knuff, and so are you. And see you next time.
Peace.